G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in on the west side of the map, which is the best side of the map, we've got Leenock, who is playing as the deli in the color blue, and on the opposite side of the map, who have we got over here, Leenock?
We do have a striker playing as the red deli as well. You always confuse me with those words east to west, you know, I'm a simple person, I'm always like left, right, east, west, you gotta just figure out which side is which. And
yes, it can be tough.
Something I have troubles with in some cases.
I apologize. I'll go left and right next time. The left side of the map, the right side of the map, all that good stuff. But yes, where I'm from, the west side, we know the west side as the best side. And so that's why I introduce it that way. But speaking of introducing it that way, we've got a little bit of variation in build orders coming through. Leenock with a little bit of a delay on his mosque. This is, of course, a deli mirror. We're on Hill and Dale. I think when you think of deli mirrors, you probably do think of Hill and Dale. I don't know about you, but I get excited when I see deli coming out on Hill and Dale. This is a map which has got 3 sacred sites. So typically you're going to be expecting people to get out on the map, get out there and fight, and the deli, obviously, a civilization which is going to be doing that. So looking forward to seeing how it unfolds.
Looking at the start here for Striker, he has queued up efficient production as his first upgrade. That's always the upgrade that you prioritize in Dark Age. And after that, you usually go for Piety if you want to go out for the sacred sites. So it's a little surprising that Herbal Medicine is the thing that he queues up after. Because when you get to Feudal, you want to switch to Sanctity, but you want to get as much of Piety done as possible, so you have a higher survivability for your monks. So we'll have to see what Leenock does over here, and indeed, he's going to open with Piety after efficient production, and he's just going to delay Piety until he grabs Sanctity once he starts in Feudal Age.
Now, I've got something small to mention. I don't know if it's a big deal. I mean, I'm going to say it's a pretty big deal. Take a look over at Striker's base and look what he's researching from the mill. First and foremost, we've got survival techniques coming out first and then going into wheelbarrow. So we could potentially see him usher in a couple of deer underneath over towards this mill. This mill is very close to his berries, so I wouldn't be surprised if you take a look at that. Survival Techniques has got 80 seconds on it before it's finished. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this scout come back in towards the base of Striker and he looks to push in these deer towards this mill.
Interesting idea. I'm not sure if it's overthinking or underthinking it, because the thing is that the berries will be very effective for the deli, so you gotta wonder, oh, I'm the one with the lag spikes now, so I might need to restart myself.
I'm getting the exact same thing. It's very frustrating.
Okay, then it's probably just a connection thing between the players. It has to be. It's Korea versus Germany when it comes to nationalities, so they're probably playing some sort of South India or so server, and that could cause lag. But yeah, what I was trying to say is that I'm not sure if this is an overthinking of the situation, because the berries already are a very good source of food for the players. Whereas on the other side, the wheelbarrow that's being researched by Leenock is just a much more general purpose upgrade that's going to affect all the villagers. So we'll have to see if survival techniques actually pays off here for Striker or not.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he has actually gone and pushed any of those deers in towards the mill, but you're going to have survival techniques coming through in the next 10 seconds. He's got to be careful. He's over towards the town center of his opponent. You can see he's got the town center beginning to fire towards that scout now. And keep in mind there's 7 sheep behind there, so you want to be extra careful, because if you lose those sheep, then you're donating over them to your opponent. You're donating them over to your opponent, and that's a lot of food. That's 1750 food that could potentially swing.
And not only are you losing out on those, as you said, you are giving it to the opponent, so it hurts for 2 reasons. If you can bring those back, you would be benefiting from them. If you lose the scout that is being trailed by those sheep, not only you are losing them yourself, you're also giving it to the opponent as the scouts pass each other. Looks like they do have a lot of connection issues, because these lag spikes are very frequent. Yeah,
I'm getting a lot of lag spikes. So in some of the earlier games that I was casting in the series, I think it was with Nili as well, I was getting quite a few of them. I think it could just be to do with netcode, honestly. I found restarting my game can sometimes work and fix it, but yeah, the issue seems to be with Age of Empires 4 and the way that it transmits the data. So if there is a freeze, what it will do is it will speed the game up, so it gets you right back to that point. But the problem is, if there's a little bit of a lag in there, it's going to give you that freeze again, but then it speeds you back up, so it just keeps doing that over and over again. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you're wondering, why does it keep freezing? Why is it doing that? Unfortunately, it's something that we can't control. You can see those little freezes just keep coming in. It's getting to the point where it's unbearable. I don't know about you, but Leenock, I've got autism, and like for me, it's like nails on a chalkboard. I literally want to punch my monitor right now.
Yeah, it is frustrating for sure, especially because they're getting more and more frequent. We got Horseman coming in, though, from Striker, an Archer range being dropped by Leenock, so he's going to play Barracks range, whereas on the other side, it's going to be a straight Horseman build, and a second mill was dropped by Striker, so not only is he going to take the hunt, he's doing that with a second mill, so he's using that to research horticulture and even professional scouts after that, and the first mill is used for wheelbarrow.
Yeah, interesting to see that he's gone for that route. He really didn't need to add the second mill, especially so close to his first one. But yeah, interesting that he's going in for horticulture. Makes a lot of sense, though, when you think about it. He's going to be able to get in all of those upgrades extra fast. First of those horsemen running out across the map now, going to be connecting towards Leenock's base. Leenock on the other side is going for horticulture. Obviously, no survival techniques coming in for him at this stage. But I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see professional scouts come out. We did see it out for a little bit with the deli, but it looks like, look at the villagers deciding to get their daggers out, stabbing out that horseman. And that's just the consequence of being a horseman, my friend. You are not a Chad in the City of Knights. You are but a bear baiter, my friend. Look at that guy. Barely stabbing people with that thing. Get out of here. Villagers actually chasing him away. Look at those. Are you getting those spikes? Those spikes are massive right now.
Yeah, those spikes are gigantic. One thing that we could do is like pause at a given moment.
And just to clarify, you're not talking about the spikes that are on the horseman, right? You're talking about the spikes of lag.
Yeah, I'm talking about the spike of lag. I mean, those are just as huge as the lances themselves.
Okay. All right. We're going to pause it at the exact same time. All right. Ready, Lidicor?
About
3, 2, 1, pause. All right. We're holding. We're holding. We're holding. You ready? Go.
Yep.
Oh, look at him speed, dude. Look at it go. Did you see? Mine are racing. Mine are racing around right now. Okay. They've just gotten... Do you see what I mean about, like, they speed up? All of that time that we were paused, the net code was like, this idiot's behind a few seconds. Let's move him forward. And then they literally play it in fast forward at like 96 times movement speed. That was wild.
Yeah, the thing is that the entire concept of pausing is that you don't want to be live with the feed. You just want to be 10 seconds behind, so you compensate for those lag spikes, but it looks like the game doesn't work that way. Now, one thing that Striker has, though, is a stable that has been buffed by a Scholar for so long, and that means that he's got a fairly sizable force of horsemen out there, whereas for Leenock, he's got a mix of everything, archers, spearmen, and horsemen, but his numbers aren't necessarily that convincing.
Yeah, he's now beginning to push out towards his central sacred site. There is a single scholar that stands upon it. An outpost coming up behind it now. Scholar got to be careful. It's sitting up there with only 90 health points, yet to get that piety upgrade up towards the north. Another scholar going to get picked up by a scout. If he's not careful, he's going to lose that one as well. Spearman doing a great job on the back of forcing back these horsemen. A single archer going to go down on top of the sacred site, but we can see the micro is really coming out from both of these players. They are dancing around like a couple tangoing upon a dance floor. It is a beautiful thing to see.
And the spearmen are just extremely impactful over here, because with the archers gone, suddenly 2 or 3 spearmen are swinging the battle in the favor of Leenock, and right now Striker is missing out on a unit that's capable of dealing with the spearman, and he's getting forced all the way back into his base. A key defeat in a crucial fight might actually lose him the game.
This is actually massive when you think about it, because all of the tempo from that now gets transitioned over to Leenock. He was holding out well, he was looking really good, and then just a few spears come in, they force back all of the cavalry from his opponent, and now it means he's going to be losing that sacred site. And not only does he lose that, he loses all of the pressure that he once held. It means that Leenock's able to head up towards the north, Leenock able to go down towards the south, and we see those scholars doing that right now. Multiple scholars out on the field, one scholar up towards the north. You hear that beautiful sound of the wolf attacking. I tell you what, Lidicor, I've had nightmares, and it has literally just been that sound playing on repeat. I have never been more... I've never been more repulsed by a sound than that sound. The wolf attacking me. Oh god, it's disgusting.
Striker lost the second scholar up north as well. He was trying to move out for a northern sacred site, but he just lost that. And now the spearmen will start walling in that sacred site. Gotta love that move from Leenock. And Striker still without the piety upgrade. And this is why I questioned at the beginning why he went for herbal medicine to start with. You want to get that piety done by the time you get to feudal age, because those scholars are quite precious, and 40 extra HP on them is nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah, that's a massive difference, and often can be life-changing for a lot of these scholars. Typically, you know, found amongst the libraries, but the few who do hit the gym often find a lot of success when it comes out onto the battlefield, surviving up against those spears that we were talking about earlier.
And now one of the sacred sites is Volin, the other one is also under the control of Leenock, and he's sending out a scholar to the south. Currently, Striker controls no sacred sites, and you can see the difference in the gold income. It's already starting that snowball out there. And if you look at Leenock's resources, he can go to Castle Age at just 10 minutes game time.
Wow, yeah, already able to click up. Now, one thing to note, neither player has actually discovered the third sacred site yet. Leenock is actually looking for it down towards the south side of the map, or down towards the bottom of the map, as we would say. But speaking of the middle of the map now, we've got ourselves a bit of a fight in the stealth forest as players beginning to go against each other, and we've got a pretty decent mass beginning to build for Leenock, but I got to be honest with you, I would much prefer to be the guy with the spears than the guy with the archers, because in this situation, your melee composition is just going to do so much more work than the mixed composition of your enemy. Now, up against the French, that's a different situation, but up against the Delhi, this is not a good situation, and you can see the mass difference coming out now. Leenock just so far ahead, and it looks like Striker going to tap out. Leenock wins the game and moves on to match point. We've just witnessed the fourth game. It may be the second last game in the series, Lidicor.
Dominant victory here by Leenock. This was just flat out outplaying the opponent when it comes to execution and micro. And as you said, you probably prefer the Spearman plus Horseman army. You actually pointed out all those long sticks that the Horsemen and the Spearmen are handling. It actually makes it very difficult to focus down the spears, because it's somewhat difficult to see which of them is a Spearman and which of them is a Horseman. That big crowd, you know. Some of the vision, of course, is blocked by the big horses as well. So it's actually pretty difficult to click those individual spearmen when they're accompanied by horsemen as well. And it just makes it much more difficult for those archers to be effective in those fights.
Yeah, it's a really, really good point. It can be so difficult to differentiate between that. Yeah, as you mentioned, especially, you know, when those big fights happen. But I guess the thing for me as well is obviously there's so much speed that comes in when you've got the horsemen together with the spears. Everybody's just running at you so quickly, and you're trying your best to micro out the spears, and you're just not going to have a lot of luck, unfortunately.
Yeah, and in many ways, this game was very reminiscent of game number 2. Roosmeter's on a Boulder Bay map. It's a race for those first couple of combat ships. This one is a race towards the first couple of sacred sites, and just being able to carve out a bit of a military lead, and we have seen that for Leenock. He took one good fight, and from that point on, it was just a snowball that was growing and growing.
Yeah, really well played by Leenock. If you guys are watching this one on YouTube, I encourage you, check out Lidicor. I'm going to leave a link in the description over to his page. But more importantly, Lidicor, we got another game coming up very shortly, very soon. And it's match point now. It's big business.
It's big business, and we're going to an open map over here. Striker has used up already 2 of his home maps, one of which he won. That was the only map he won, that is Boulder Bay, and now he lost one to Leenock. That was Hillandale. So we have to go to Lipany, and since Mongols are available for both, it is likely going to be Mongols pick, and indeed it is.